Hello, everyone. This is Ninja GC joining again from the React video. This time for Star vs. Season 4, episode 5 and 6, I think. Joining me again is Carlos.
Hello there, Gunmetal Gator here, and I'm just telling you.
Okay, I think it might be. Is Carlos speaking or just not?
I'm speaking.
Not?
I'm speaking.
He's speaking.
Yeah.
Dang it.
No, you're serious.
And again.
No.
We're so close. But I guess
so
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please check back in. And wait, no, we're the ones who have to check back later.
Yeah.
God.
Please continue standing there and watching the three-ring circus.
I guess it's just sort of try.
It's fine to try this. It's fine.
Both of you agree on staying here and trying this.
Yes.
We're both agreeing.
Yes, you're both agreeing.
All right, just someone who wants to be my Carlos interpreter.
I'll do it.
All right.
Okay, so what's happening? What's happening now?
I can't hear Carlos now.
Introducing himself, but yeah, they can.
2 seconds.
Wait, who can't hear who? Who can't hear who?
I can't hear Carlos.
Oh, great. Now this time you can't hear Carlos.
Yeah.
Hangouts.
Believe us, we've been trying to solve this problem a long time.
Yes, we
thought we had it.
We thought we
just wiped another victim amongst the waves, and that is me, the suffering kid.
All right, is Carlos through his intro or?
I just said.
Carlos, why don't you do your intro?
Hello there.
Yes.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Gunmetal Gator here from the Accelerator World, just telling you, being a mama croc is just too much heartache. Too much. You thinking about mothers and how they have it easy? No. It is more than a war zone.
Did you say being a mama croc?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a mama croc.
It feels like being like a mama croc with like hyperactive people.
All right.
And now DC moves on to.
All right. Well, first of all, just in case I don't know how the audio is coming in, just so I'm going to make sure Carlos gets an intro. Carlos, Gunmetal Gator, longtime Reactor. Pretty much, if you're watching this channel and have not seen him, I question how you've been watching this channel.
I've been here since the very beginning.
So next up, Daylover.
Hello, everybody. I hope we'll get this issue fixed. But elsewise, fun. Waiting to react to this episode. Next.
Next up, Jen.
Hello, everyone. It's Jen again, and having fun through these technical difficulties. But we are ready to watch Star.
And second.
Hi there, I'm the second opinion, and from a critic first to defend second. Look at that sun, look at that sky, look at my sweater vest, I look so fly. Wait, no, that's the wrong show. Some things I don't remember for this one.
Yeah, you can come out of the corner now, second.
yeah, you're out of the timeout corner for like being late.
All right.
Yeah. I'll finish throwing my alarm clock across the room later.
As long as I can take a rifle up to mine and shoot it.
We'll take it to BronyCon and then you can shoot it. Sure.
Does Pa have to put alarm clocky out of his misery? He does, son. He does.
It's the circle of life, honey. You see, when alarm clocks annoy people. So when they annoy people, people get mad. And then they pick up rifles and shoot them.
I was thinking when they don't work.
They just remind. I was just thinking also I was thinking of like Zootopia with when she was getting out the tickets the second time around. It's like, my mommy wishes you were dead.
Yeah. That's so rude. I was thinking more like when one of the tickers on the clock breaks, then it's time to put the clock out of his misery. But they're way out there.
All right. I guess with that said, are you all ready to begin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Is Carlos ready to begin?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. Is there the episode up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, including Carlos.
Yes.
All right. Can he hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh.
What is that?
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, like, we know very well that Eclipso wants Globgor free, so... I mean, for a character who's been own what I am so far, she kind of jumped to telling the spider bites what they want to hear pretty quick there.
But at the same time, she is making sacrifices for her kingdom, which looks like we've seen, because she could have freed Globgor in the last batch of episodes you watched. There was really nothing that would have stopped her, except for she would have lost Star's trust. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, even that, why Globgor has to remain imprisoned right now is kind of sketchy. Like, presumably it's the will of the High Magical Council, but, whether they have the authority to say that, why they would or why they wouldn't, or what even was the motivator in the first place, it's presumably the order of events was Globgor convinces Eclipsa that he's awesome, she runs away with him, they marry, they have a baby, he gives up however much of his evil he gave up to be Eclipsa's husband, and then the council intervened, froze both him and Eclipsa, and...
Did Meteora?
No, not Meteora.
Stole Meteora, said, okay, you guys are off the throne, we're going to create this giant conspiracy because we just like it better that way, and all these years later, that results in Globgor is imprisoned for legitimate reasons, and he needs to stay that way because we have the moral high ground somehow. It's really... they're really leaving it kind of sketchy, the details here.
Maybe I'm thinking, maybe this is, a story about, Star, maybe, not trying to go down through, the likable, main character route, actually, go on, okay,
Carlos talking right now?
Yes,
I am. And I was just saying, maybe it's, she, her constant pushing for, equality and stuff between monsters and humans, all of that seems to come from, a positive perspective. Maybe at the end, things get very chaotic, but somehow reaches some sort of equilibrium balance, which everyone has to make compromises. Because I have a feeling that's the way it's going, because Star can't do one or another. That's why you've been feeling it's flip floppy. So,
I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like they could honestly spin this into any way they want. They're leaving it vague and sketchy enough. It would be equally as valid. Well, heck, that's just the mystery. Equally as valid if Globgor turned out to be awesome, or if he turned out to be, to have been lying to Eclipsa the whole time and actually be the worst monster of all. But I mean, it would fit if Eclipsa got reined in. It would fit if the Mumins got reined in. Eclipsa was the one who had the fair and equal treatment for all motif going. It would fit if they went somewhere in between, both sides had to learn a lesson. It would fit if the Royal Magical Council was totally in the wrong and they have no right imprisoning Globgor at all. It would fit if Eclipsa was totally in the right and should have just snatched Romulus's powers and freedom because you people are a bunch of thugs pretending to be royal authority, and that's where it's kind of questioning how they're unfolding it right now. It's just, I mean, they're trying to claim that there are moral high grounds and low grounds here, but it's almost too vague to even, necessarily be with them on that. Like, what, is Eclipse irresponsible? Does she need to prove herself before she can free Globgor? Is she being responsible right now by reassuring the spider bites like that? Is she, flip-flopping and setting up the conflict later by disowning what she is? I mean, it's all just it seems like the mystery they presumably want to spin is taking precedence over keeping us engaged now. And either have gone quiet and I can't hear anybody talking, or nobody else necessarily agrees.
I just don't know.
I think we all agree at some.
Yeah, it's a quiet agreement, not quiet dissension.
Yeah, agreed. It is an interesting. Interesting perspective for, what is Eclipse's angle for this.
Whether or not it's like the truth or lies, but yeah.
No, I wonder what was that? What was that thing in the box that Star had?
Oh, it was a piece of the. Remember, she had a piece of the book that she used to resurrect Glossaric, and so she kept that a secret at the end that she could have handed that piece over to Eclipse to remake the Book of Spells, but she doesn't trust Eclipse that much anymore.
Got it.
Which I guarantee is going to come back and bite Star in the flank.
Star, you didn't trust me?
Oh yeah. That would cause some conflict, because then Star would have to be like, she's trying to get everybody to trust the monsters, but yet she doesn't trust Eclipse.
Well, Star's trying to work with Eclipse, but now it's holding back on her. I mean, I don't know. I'm starting to get a little worried this is going to be one of those forced character conflicts. We have to do that. You lied to me before we do the get back together. I'm sorry, I should not have lied to you. That's okay, I understand because you wanted to. And then everything on the rest of it unfolds exactly as it would have if we hadn't done that at all.
Right.
Or they tried to tack on some forced moral that presumably taught them. A forced solution that somehow allowed them to discover.
Yeah, I'm just thinking Star is losing her balance on this path that she wants to take, and she has to make a stance sooner or later, permanent stance, and try to not be as compromising as possible in this case. And I know that sounds weird because I was just talking about the season might end with making compromises, but that uncertainty is not going to do so well as per story beats go.
I take it Carlos is talking?
Yes. Yeah. You take it right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, the first 4 episodes I thought we were building more of a conflict of higher tension than this. The cult following of Queen Moon and the controversy surrounding Eclipse and the active rebellion or dissension, and now it seems like it's kind of it's a conflict simmering on low flame. Everybody is just vaguely discontent with this but rebuilding, and we're kind of now waiting for a conflict to emerge.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, I don't need the highest stakes or the biggest action scenes or anything like that, but you do have to have something to keep your audience hooked, to keep pulling the plot thread forward, make sure it's tied on to something, and just sort of this vague, what is the conflict, what is the direction this is going to result in that's not as compelling. Did like the twist with the spider bites actually like monsters, though.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they kind of ham that up a little bit, now Star wants to call someone on their monster prejudice of all times, but yeah, she, of course, gives the big... You just need to loosen up and get over here. Hey, it's my boyfriend!
Yeah, the one thing I will say is, like, this sort of brings me back to Muni, but I'm going to mark this on my time, but let me just put this simply. After watching the first part of this episode, where like after clip of songs and all the work she's put in and trying to make Muni love her and all that, I'll just say is, fuck Muni. Fuck this piece of, like, this horrible, racist, biggest, specious, crud turd of a nation. Like, they are so hateful. And it's like so, like, I mean, it's just frustrating, like, I mean, I feel it's realistic frustrating. Like, you don't just get rid of racism overnight, but like Eclipse has sacrificed so much, like, so over the past few episodes and past seasons. Like, think about this. Last season ended with her basically willing to kill her child to save the kingdom. Mm-hmm. This season, like, started like early on with her like working extremely hard, like, to fix up the kingdom and do all the things right. And also, like I said before, she had a chance. She could have fully released Globgor. There's nothing could have stopped her in that situation except for her consciousness. And then, like, all that work and hard work, and they was like, ugh, this pathetic queen. Like, it was like dislike. It's like infuriating.
It is, and I guess
it's that mom. It's the mom mentality.
The thing about it being Muni is, we like, on some level, we don't know how much of this they've seen. Like, a lot of it is behind the scenes, and on another level, we know for a fact they haven't seen some of it. Like, they didn't see Eclipsa versus the Meteora. They didn't see what actually went down between Eclipsa and Romulus. Like, not that I think anybody should be on Romulus's side because he is annoying as hell, but they might not have seen that either. So
wasn't Romulus? Didn't they? The lie was that Romulus was the one that sent sent Meteora to the council, and the council's like, well, never mind, we'll just hide her.
I don't even know, honestly.
No, like, what happened is the whole council, like, just basically ditched it, but like the Eclipse's former, like, her official married thing was with Shastacan. He's the one who ditched the baby, which is the one.
Right.
He's the one who Globgor ate.
Okay, that Shastacan is the one that Globgor ate. That was the one that Eclipse was married to.
Yeah,
no.
He participated in the scandal to get rid of his stepdaughter and adopt and imprison Globgor, and Globgor somehow ate him before all of that proceeded as planned.
Or after, or it could have been like an after the thing, like Globgor was the last piece to be fixed, sort of thing. Like I said, I have a feeling, especially the way to describe, like, how Eclipse is like, it's more complicated than that. That line immediately implies to me that we are going to get a flashback of Globgor in a sequence at some point, but probably not till like the very end of the season. Because I do not believe, like, it just feels like it would be disrespectful for Eclipse's character to have her and Globgor to be sort of the villains at this point.
Mm-hmm. Eclipse definitely. Globgor, I could still see the
I'm not saying he didn't do bad. I'm not saying he didn't do bad things at some point, but being at his current state, he's not a villain. And I just feel like it would be frustrating if like they sort of take that back, and like that's why I'm sort of concerned with Star like hiding that piece of the book, because that's immediately like, oh, that's going to be used against her at some point.
Well, I'm just starting to think
I do want to bring up a theory I remember hearing, which actually does make sense. The reason like that it seems like that Glossaric doesn't seem to help doesn't seem to be helping the Eclipse too much is because technically Star is the last holder and current holder of what's left in the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, that's a theory. That's a theory that makes sense because he's actually been more helpful with the Star.
Actually, now that they've brought that back, you come to realize the book was a plot point that really ultimately didn't go very far. Like they went halfway with it. That there's things to learn out of from it. Or that Ludo has it now. So, and then they completely nixed it like halfway through that, and I think it ended up the finality of it. It ended up being just the MacGuffin to get Toffee back on the scene.
Wouldn't it be funny if like Toffee and Globgor had some sort of connection?
Funny, and probably not even the most surprising thing necessarily.
Yeah.
Although honestly, like, I guess the book being destroyed was supposed to be played as like this dark plot twist of, Ludo suddenly made the most critical decision of his life, and I might have gone for it more if just that particular episode in general hadn't been such a waste. Like, second-rate slapstick on Ludo for 10 minutes, followed by, I want to kill you! Oh, wait, I didn't mean it! I would have taken it back if Toffee hadn't taken me over for like 30 seconds there. No, Carlos is not talking now.
All right. But I guess any other thoughts on these episodes?
It's surprising. These episodes were surprisingly Star's getting a little bit tiptoeing into like real world stuff, because you're seeing this conflict of the monsters from both sides. You're seeing it from the monsters with how Eclipse's royal staff is treating them. But you're also seeing it from the Mumin side, where if monster properties were restored, and if somebody were already living in them, then the Mumins are kicked out. But then also there's there's Moon and River trying to make their own settlement. It's almost like the Pilgrims in a sense.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things that that's been a thing throughout history. Somebody's great-great-grandpa took land from somebody else's great-great-grandma, grandpa, whoever, and then, all these years later, okay, do you believe in sins of the father and it should be the families who had it originally, or should it remain with the totally innocent people who happen to have it now and have made a life for themselves there? I mean, this might, I don't even know if Star realizes how serious it just got. It probably does, which is why, at least for the part about, what they're getting into, I'm on board for, but, that's big.
The only thing about what are Moon and River doing just out in the woods? Are they on vacation or they're just?
They still want to just like get away for a while. Like they even mentioned that in a previous episode about building a yard or whatever that like round tent was. Mm-hmm. I feel it will eventually lead to them like basically founding a second Muni or something like that.
I almost hope not, because then that's like, okay, well, here the solution to Calypso wants monsters and humans to live in harmony, or at very least monsters not to be treated as second class. Oh, well, then we just build another Muni and start this whole thing all over again.
Yeah, I don't think it'll go that way. I think it'll be like Muni will be more mixed, but like I'm feeling, I wouldn't be surprised if they do found a second city or settlement sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It's really, the one thing I want to go back to is that you were mentioning like the real world. It's like, yeah, this reminds me like there's a lot of them parallels, but like the most that comes to mind is South Africa, apartheid South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of similarities where basically, if you look at because at least a good way I was going to say is like one, we have the land reclamation. That's something that's still a very controversial issue having right now in South Africa, where traditional rich white South African families of African descent, they're basically like the government's like deciding like, well, should we just take their land to redistribute it or not? And I think actually when I was over there, yeah. And then another example was also specifically is I wanted to bring. What was the one family's name?
Spider Bite.
No, the other one, the annoying ones.
The pony heads,
Weasleys, or the
wait,
the one family that was
the one bothering River and Moon. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like a W something. But my main point is like they remind me like a similar thing happened in sort of South Africa where once they became desegregated, a lot of white South Africans could basically before that, like you're born white and you more or less like you could get a decent job anywhere. And like because like it was basically a minority ruling country, you just by default sort of had that. But like when it was desegregated and actually forced like equality measures in their employment, a lot of like basically white South Africans were basically just, what do we do? I don't have a job anymore because they're just so reliant on like basically the system feeding them and all that. And now they're basically, they don't have a job. They don't have anywhere because they're not the most qualified because they didn't really try too hard before. And it was just left like, that's a sort of thing here is like these people like, yeah, he had a job, a comfortable job and all that in the city. He had a home and all that. Once basically it got desegregated, like that, look, that the monsters resegregated and all that, that's sort of the same thing. They just don't know what to do because they were so basically everything was done for them just because they're immune. And like I have those, that's a similar comparison because that's why they seem so incompetent is because they never had to do anything by themselves before.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I'd almost want to hear the creators say like what inspired some of this. I mean, the Star's track record so far, at least, I do think other shows have woven this kind of thing in better. But I mean, like this digs it in. Like this hits closer to home than a lot of shows I've seen tackling this kind of subject matter.
No, like I was saying before too, is like they're not even rushing over the fact that yeah, this is a slow change. Like the humans, they're still not happy with this at all. And like that's like yeah, that's so true. When you do sort of desegregate, like pretty much no community is happy for like decades on these sort of things. Mm-hmm. It takes generations for that to work out.
Oh yeah. Drawing out the poison is a slow, painful process.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody sees it that way. A lot of people just see it as we're getting screwed and we need things to go back to how they were.
The complacency versus advancement methodologies. Like it's like I want to be complacent or I want things to change, even if it means stuff taken away from me. To make things better for everyone else, even if it's just a little bit. It's like, do you want to be selfish or selfless? You know,
or the other routes. Let's leave things status quo and have like little protests and moral guilt and whatever. Gradually change things over time until it, the people who would rather it have been, who benefit from it and would rather it have stay that way, start to think the oppressed group is gaining a little too much ground, and then social transgression and progression and culture wars, and there you go. Which is probably not where this is going to go because it doesn't have that many seasons left.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Carlos, are you singing to yourself? Oh, he's speaking Spanish to somebody. Okay.
All right. Jen, do you have any other thoughts on this episode?
Jen 1 2 3. Jen 1 2 3. Can you hear us? Because I can't hear her. Can anybody hear Jen?
Come on, mommy.
Oh, she muted herself.
I thought I heard her for a second. So she might...
Sorry, I unmuted. My bad.
Okay, she's back.
I just wanted to ask, like, I'm going into the final thoughts thing. Like, any other final thoughts in this episode?
Essence? What are you doing?
Nothing any big final thoughts except interesting look at both sides of the conflict. It's really making the audience really think about like what side are they really on. Because if you look at it, there's cons on both sides.
We need to. It's time.
I think my last words
I think
be
this
that...
was like a very good time now. Okay.
Carlos, maybe you should mute yourself. Well,
here we go.
Anyway, okay, I think my final thoughts would be, the episodes themselves, maybe not as good as the first 4. I think that starting to see a couple of the storytelling trends I'm not quite as fond of from Star, where it, fumbles a little on holding the same level of compelling that it can have when, it's just pure kinetic energy of fun, like when it tries to go more complex, sometimes it fumbles on keeping things compelling, but some of the issues it raises and some of the directions it's hinting at seem like they could be really, really major.
It's definitely something for like a show, even if they're not able to handle everything like tactfully, like them approaching it with like such severity. It's definitely going to be an innovative show.
Yes.
Right. It's definitely an innovative show in that aspect, which makes me appreciate it. And I feel like at the end, we're really not going to get any sort of like big bad villain. I think it's going to be sort of like a Star versus the people of Muni, like, and not in a traditional sense.
Yeah.
I had this odd thought that that what if Moon and River started the second Muni outside, and all of a sudden, for some reason, they march to try and take back.
I was going to say
and then before you know it, Star is in the middle. Star and Marco are in the middle of this conflict of like Moon and River with the Mumins, and then Star Mumins, yeah, and then you have Star. I don't think she's on the side. She's not fully on one side anymore. I mean, she knows she's human, but she's also realizing that not all monsters are bad. So then you have Star. I think there's going to be something that Star is going to be like the. I got to wrap this up because my phone's about to die. I think Star at one point it's going to be some sort of big conflict. Star's going to be in the middle of it. She's going to try and be the rather than the Princess of Muni. She's going to be like the peacemaker of Muni.
Yeah, that all does sound like a really natural direction for this show to go. Yeah, with what it's got. Actually, I just realized if they do have a big bad, it didn't occur to me who the most likely candidates for that to be are. But if they did, I think the most likely right now would actually have to be the Magical Council.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. I mean, they toyed with Muni history, and they lied to Star and her family for generations.
Yeah, although they'd probably let Hekapoo be the one who turns face on that council just because, we're basically supposed to like her so far.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be something if Hekapoo's the one to turn on them and be like, okay, we need to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like because of like our meddling and such with like countries' affairs, despite the fact that we were only supposed to like govern magic, and yet we decided to put our hands into politics. That is a big no-no. And the fact that we're still trying to uphold this change, I'm sorry, but no.
Mm-hmm.
No. And basically, the big magical battle is essentially we fight against Romulus as the Mook. But then who would be like the active leader like for like the Magic Council?
I don't even remember who the other guys on it were.
I mean, Go Guy is dead already.
The one guys in the Magic Council was Romulus,
Time travel guy.
Hekapoo, Romulus.
Hekapoo.
Guy on motorcycle who had to regenerate from just a hand, was it, or was he?
No, that wasn't him. It was Romulus, Hekapoo. Then it had formerly, because he's dead now, the goat, who was the leader.
The time travel guy.
Dead. Then it had the
time travel
guy that was in charge of space and time. And then it was like formerly Queen Moon. It was just sort of on the Magic Council, but not. But like the main four were the Lekmed, the goat guy who's now deceased, Hekapoo, Romulus, and Space Time guy. Those were the four and all that. And I guess Glossaric is sort of also. Glossaric is sort of like above them, but not sort of thing. It's weird.
The advisor, the neutral advisor.
Yeah, it's like he, by the like books lore and all that, he actually sort of created all of them or something like that. But and he's also like Romulus said, the strongest magical guy he knows.
Glossaric's got an ace in the hole.
Glossaric is the ace in the hole.
Huh?
Glossaric is the ace in the hole.
Glossaric is the ace in the hole. He's also the freaking troll. So. And it's just in the way Glossaric is like, I'm powerful. I could end you all if I wanted, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to talk in a pony head voice for me. It's like, I'm really powerful. So, but I'm going to make you guys think I'm going to do something to you. So, yeah.
So I am just a pony head. I make mistakes from time to time.
Oh my gosh. That would be hilarious if Ponyhead had to actually try and sing that song, but it'd be absolutely just annoying as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like, it's one of those moments, like, usually I would think Ponyhead's kind of funny, but in these episodes, man, she was kind of grating, you know?
I think she flips back and forth, honestly. And I actually kind of thought she was a little bit in between this time. Like, yeah, okay, we're going to use Ponyhead to make Eclipsa popular, and this is how she goes about it. Like, she herself was annoying, but I mean, the idea of it that, this is the Ponyhead popularity show, and this is what it looks like, was very strange and amusing.
Oh, this is Ponyhead's vehicle. Everybody knows that, and Star should have known that, but you have one of those, you have one of those people like, yeah, they can do right, they can do this, and then they end up they're for themselves.
Yeah, I will admit, Seahorse guy is more my speed of humor.
Yeah, Seahorse is just too great. Like, we're like being able to make like the bland voice like just work with like the jokes, like with such timing and inflection.
Yeah, well, just like emotionlessly, well, not quite emotionally, just like pleasantly, mechanically dark, or like delivery boy mechanical, where like he's trying to convince you that he's here, or he is even seems to be under the impression that he's here to help. Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just makes you feel more sad for the original personality of Seahorse.
True.
All this happened because he was too reckless and sort of went through like a St. Olga sort of type of like a mental mind control in order to like calm him down from being like the most destructive being.
I'm just thinking of that Monty Python joke, like, sadly, this is what accounting does to people. Sadly, this is what delivery boy work does to people.
Yeah.
Sadly, this is what retail does to people.
All right. But I guess with that said, is Carlos talking right now?
No, he was joining in a little bit, yeah.
This is I guess see y'all next week for Star Versus and Equestria My Little Pony season 9 premiere.
Season 9. We didn't quite make it to 10, and even 10.
The final season.
It's the final season.
Oh.
The heartbreak, heartache, all the time.
Well, I guess with that said, see you then.
See you
then. All the time in the world.